way episode 11 and 12 of When the Phone Rings stayed stressing me out. I have a lot to discuss today as far as the final episodes for probably my favorite K-drama, but I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot going on that was spiking my blood pressure. Hi, I'm Monique. I am the host of Off by Purple Art podcast, where I talk to you about K-dramas, C-dramas, BTS, and so much more. Episode 11 was just so irksome to me. I honestly thought it's messed up the flow of what I really enjoyed about the show. And my entire takeaway is I enjoyed a lot about When the Phone Rings. It was a fun ride, but these last two episodes are so frustrating. Yeah, I'm going into spoilers. Just starting off with the audacity of Heeju's mom, Park Seon's father, Park Seon's mother, all of them, the entire family, the way that they were getting on my last nerve. Woo, good God. Everything about the episode just really pissed me off. I really think what irked me the most was just the smugness of the real Park Seon's mother and just how smug she was, especially when talking with Seon through the entire sequence of it being revealed about her ulterior motives and how she was involved with the entire accident, which, by the way, at the speed of which Heeju was gunning that car, the fact that it only got hit at the guardrail and didn't do a triple axle into the ocean is crazy. There's so many times in this show where you have to suspend your disbelief. I understand we're essentially watching a glorified Wattpad, just super sensationalized webtoon novel turned into live action, and I'm not going to pretend like I didn't enjoy the vast majority of the ride, but I was like, you've got to be joking. Anyway, the amount of smugness that she had, especially during that pivotal confrontation scene in the police precinct after the big arrest was made, the way she was smirking and leaning on that table, and the way she was just now it is your time to suffer. And I'm thinking to myself, you have been the absolute utter worst from episode 1 and go. The way I did not feel any form of remorse and sympathy for her, the absolute atrocious way that she dealt with her son, and her and Park Seon's real father were so wickedly negligent. And I don't care about the grandfather and his whole mastermind piece in this whole mess. The way the two of them facilitated this boy turning into this monster of a man instead of getting him the proper psychiatric treatment that was necessary, because he was showing such alarming behavior, and the lack of accountability in all of that. He was unaliving children and unaliving small animals, and she was locking him up thinking that this was her version of protection. For her to try to flip the script on the Seon that we are familiar with and associate with was wild work, just nasty work. She really was on one. The flames on the side of my face through the entirety of that episode just infuriated me to all ends. Everything about that leading up into the final moments, just the entire sequencing of Heeju escaping with the butler assisting in her escape, the running, the pop-up of the real Park Seon, the honey, let's play. And I'm just shut up! Enough of this! Wrap it up! Let's wrap this up! The entire sequencing of that got on my nerves. But what really stressed me out and infuriated infuriated me to no end was the final 5 minutes of episode 11. I was incredibly incredulous. They were in the car. So Heejoo makes this run for her life. We see the real Park Se-yeon being menacing with the rifle. She sees her Seon racing through with his car along with the precinct, ready to finish this whole nasty ordeal up. She gets down into the street, she holds out her hands, and she's willing to put her body on the line again. Car stops, she gets in the car. The precinct should be literal seconds away from them, but they're still God knows where. Here he comes, the real Park Se-yeon, and he jumps in front of the car as well. And then our Se-yeon hits the brakes. Okay, I understand that. Human reaction. You panic, you see something just dart out in front of you. Of course, your instinct as someone that is driving a car is to slam on the brakes. Totally understand that. I'm still there. I'm still working with it. I'm irritated, I'm stressed, but I'm still locked in. I'm still very much engaged. Then we see him start up with his little soliloquy, the real Se-yeon. Has the rifle leaning down, not pointed towards them while they're still in the car. He's loading up this weapon. Why are you still sitting behind the wheel? Their first instinct was to stop, hit the brakes. Totally understand that. Totally understand that. Why aren't you pressing on the accelerator and vroom? Why are you sitting there, allowing him to reload up, aim the weapon, aim it to you, and start off with a soliloquy, and then you park and get out the vehicle? What? 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 I was beside myself. I watched this. I watched this whole sequence of events. And I just was like, wow. Okay. This is how we're leaving the episode? Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Wow. Move into episode 12. We pick right up where all that left off. Like that massive asinine cliffhanger. And then we hear the final shot out. And we take in all the emotion, all the heightened awareness. Heejoo just going through the exact worst case nightmare scenario, the absolute last thing she would want. We as the audience are like, what is going on? We're at the final episode. We should be doing a victory lap with this couple. I understand sometimes you want to get a nice hook attention. You don't want just everything easy street, even with the final episode, because you still need to draw the viewers in. But my God. And then she wakes up. She wakes up. It was all a dream. And one thing I cannot do, one thing I cannot stand is when shows do this, when they have fake outs with dreams. To me, that's such a massive cop-out. I was so displeased. Was I happy that at least the safety of our Se-yeon was intact? For sure. Even though there was a lot of ambiguity after we realized that those last moments were a part of a dream sequence, even though there was still this nightmare chase and still our Se-yeon getting out the car and that entire confrontation. But it just didn't end the way that was shown to the audience. I was like, you've got to be joking. And then the time jump. And our Se-yeon completely ghosting Heejoo. I was rocking with Heejoo from the first episode. I gotta be honest. Soo-bin locked me in from the very first episode, and she locked me in all the way to the last. Her acting, love her down. Love her down so bad, because I was rooting for Heejoo and I felt so awful for her. After all the trauma she's experienced, with all the kidnappings, with all the threats, with all the trauma that she has dealt with for the entirety of this show. And for the one man that she was willing to risk it all for, now this is a female lead that stands by her man. I was devastated for her. I was like, wow, not even a heart to heart to say, I need time away from this. Now, before y'all jump on me and say, well, you know, the last moments, the real Park Seon whispered something to our Seon, and he was obviously clearly rocked and devastated by it, even though we do find out the reasoning. And I don't think the reasoning was justifiable enough for him to have done what he did to her. Not even to communicate even a little bit, say, I just need time apart. So much has happened between the two of us, and for the health of a relationship and for my sanity, I need to walk away for a little bit. Not even that. And to put her through that agony for as long as he did, while the sister is still in the loop with all this, really irritated me. Now, I might need to go back and watch this again and kind of let it digest a little bit more, but that sequencing of events infuriated me to no end. Haeju, of course, wasn't going to take this sitting down, and she starts searching for Seon. She's like, I'm not going to accept the fact that he just disappears after all of this. And no matter how many roadblocks, no matter everyone's telling her that it's done, he's disappeared, we might as well consider that he might not be with us anymore. She was not going to let that stand. Cool. When it got to the halfway point of the episode, when we segued into the whole subplot of Argon and the Call of Duty-esque stuff, I was really like, you know what? Let's stop. Let's not. Now, before you guys say, no, it actually makes sense, because we know that the Seon that we're familiar with, that the story centers around, we know that his past before becoming a spokesperson for his political party, that he was a hostage negotiator and that he was doing volunteer work in this sense, and that there was clues left within the episodes to let us know that this is something he wanted to return to. He had his plan, and unfortunately Haeju kind of threw a wrench in a lot of his plans, because he did fall in love with her. He wanted to protect her at the initial stages of their contract/convenience marriage, but him and his growing attraction and love for her consistently ruined his subplot. Even with all that said, still did not allow me to fully enjoy the sequencing of events, because all I could think was how ludicrous this all is. And if they wanted to include this subplot of him in this war-torn region and Haeju putting her life at risk and on the line again to go into this territory where she is warned multiple times that it is high-key dangerous and it's absolutely nowhere she should be at all, with zero combat training, no weaponry of whatsoever, just her and her never stopping love for Seon was not going to cut it. She said she needs to sit her pretty butt down somewhere. That entire subplot got on my last nerve. You don't understand. I was like, what are we watching here? Tell me, what are we watching here? I was infuriated. Guys, you have no idea. I was infuriated. I was like, what is this? I don't care what this is. Take this Call of Duty nonsense, first-person shooter crap off my screen. Just get it out of here. Get it out of here. But the cornerstone of this show, what brought me back down, what caught me again, that kind of soothed everything that was getting on my last nerve, was the chemistry. Because despite my anger towards Seon as a character and his actions, their scene when they reunite and them having that powerful kiss scene and Haeju laying it all out there was just some of the most tension I've seen in a long time. And I'm telling you, these actors are magic together. Yeon-seok and Chae Soo-bin are wonderful together. They look incredible together. Their chemistry, phenomenal together. And that chemistry is what kept me locked in from the word go. The fact that they did not skimp on any levels of intimacy within the confines of the show, because I understand that the rating for this show would not allow it to get super out there with the spiciness. But within the framework of this show, they got away with a lot as far as pushing the envelope. There's all their intimate scenes, especially the follow-up in the cabin, was gorgeous. The lighting, the cinematography, gorgeous, and the warmth of it in comparison to the first episodes that we got, and how cold and sterile and bleak a lot of their scenes together when we were first learning how their marriage worked and how there was so much separation between them, and how the lack of communication was their downfall. And it turns out that through communication, whether through the phone, because the huge keystone in this show was the damn phone, that damn phone was what would bring them back in unison with one. All those scenes where they're together and lovey-dovey, I was kicking my feet and I was giggling. I was having an amazing time. Amazing time. Outside of that, I was very frustrated. Some other stuff that I really enjoyed, though, was I love the takedown of the mother of the real Park Se-yeon. Her getting jailed for life and then her opting out was fine to me. I felt little to no sympathy for her. Same thing for Park Se-yeon's father. Didn't care about him either. Didn't care about the grandfather and how he was taking out the picture. I was like, good riddance to all of them. Seems like it was a familial trait. That streak of violence, didn't care. Even the little pockets of redemption they were trying to give Haeju's mother, didn't care. Inna, the sister, I find the actress intriguing. Her face is intriguing, and how they used her and positioned her in the show was intriguing, but I just felt like there's still a little missing. I feel like they really could have utilized that character a lot more, and I think she kind of suffered a wee bit because of that. I wasn't really a fan of Yuri, the reporter, and what's his name? Sang-woon? Was that his name? The best friend from college, from the missing link of the orphanage and what have you. I didn't really like him, and I still felt like right up until like the last moments that there was something really off about him. I don't know if it was like a directorial choice and they wanted the actor to keep the audience on their toes, so they had him kind of going back and forth between being shifty and not. But Sang-woo, I didn't really vibe with him, and I just didn't see it for that character in this show. Maybe the actor is really compelling, and this just, I don't know. I just, something about him, I guess it's good in the end that he didn't turn out to be the villain that a lot of us were guessing early on, but I just didn't really like him that much. I can't tell you why. I can't. Dojae and him first being imprisoned and him kind of starting as the catalyst for Haeju being reunited with Se-yeon, and then him getting to work with Se-yeon once again towards the end of the episode. I don't know how I felt about that. I was pretty sure early on in the show that he was one of the culprits in all this scheme unfolding, and I just, even if Se-yeon trusted him for so long, and even if he did come to terms with forgiveness and understanding where his actions came from, I thought it was just a little too easy for him to have this little happy ever after and get out of incarceration and get to work with him again. Whatever to that. But I will say the final moments and Se-yeon getting to flirt with Haeju once again, and him on the phone with her, and him saying, I really miss 406. I miss her coldness and her take charge attitude and how she put me in my place, and Haeju kind of flirting back and playing into that a little bit. I love that. That spiciness, these two actors, they're so powerful together. If they ever do another project, they should lean into that spiciness, because I was captivated, and it was just a quick phone call conversation. So I might sound really agitated throughout this entirety of this podcast episode, but I do want to say I had such a fun time with the show overall. It kept me and so many of us captivated. I think the release schedule of it worked to its benefit. I don't know if I would have appreciated the show as much if it was easily bingeable. I think having it release 1 week at a time and having that quick intermission and break to build up anticipation actually worked to the show's benefit. I overall had a fun ride, but I'm not gonna lie, episodes 11 and 12 were very frustrating for me to watch and kind of takes a few of my high marks away from the show. I always knew that the show was high fantasy and it had the thriller aspect of it, but there's so much stuff that you had to suspend your belief for. But I was in it because the actors were super captivating. I think Yeon-seok and definitely Chae Soo-bin. Chae Soo-bin is the lynch piece for this entire show. She absolutely deserves her flowers. She absolutely captivated me as Hee-ju. I adored her in this show. I'm not that familiar with her catalog and discography, or filmography, I should say, of her work, but I can tell you she was very effective in this show, and I love the character of Hee-ju, even in some of the stuff that she would do that would get on my nerves. I enjoyed her immensely as a character, and I just wanted her happiness at the end of it. The chemistry that those two actors were able to generate, chef's kiss. And their chemistry and the amount that they fed us as far as the intimate scenes, to me, helped with a lot of the frustration in the final episode. So those are my final thoughts. If you stuck through all of this, thank you so much. Let me know your thoughts. If you're watching this video format of the podcast via YouTube, let me know your commentary below. Did you think the last 2 episodes were pitch perfect and you enjoyed the entire ride through with no criticism? Or did you feel similarly to me? Let me know. I'm genuinely always curious about what people are thinking about my favorite shows. If you're listening via Spotify or you're listening via Apple Podcasts, feel free to interact with those platforms as well, especially with Spotify and its enhanced features now that it's the video format and you can do a lot of commentary. Let me know your thoughts. I appreciate you guys on the audio side of things so much as well. We're in the new year. It is 2025. There is going to be a lot of amazing shows that are going to be coming out. There's already a new K-drama that I'm picking up, so best believe there will be some new hot episodes coming down your way. But I will say, I'm happy with how When the Phone Rings ended. And those 2 actors, magic. They're a literal magical gold together. Put them in another project together and allow them to go to the full potential of their spiciness, because their intimate scenes were giving. And I'm going to leave it at that.